The foundation of an irresistible presence isn't built on what you say, but on how you affect the biology of the person standing in front of you. When you enter a room, a woman's brain performs an instantaneous neuroceptive scan, a subconscious process that bypasses her logical mind entirely. While many men mistakenly believe she is evaluating their suit, their height, or their social standing, her nervous system is actually hunting for cues of safety. In those first 90 seconds, her body is asking, does this man's presence require me to stay on guard, or can I let my hair down? If she perceives even a hint of erratic energy, hidden agendas, or aggressive dominance, her fight or flight system, the sympathetic nervous system, engages. Once that threat switch is flipped, no amount of money or status can force her into a state of genuine attraction. True magnetism is achieved through a process called nervous system co-regulation. This happens when your own internal state is so grounded and calm that it acts as a signal to her nervous system that the environment is safe. This is governed by the ventral vagal complex, the part of the nervous system responsible for social engagement and relaxation. When you operate from this state, you aren't performing confidence. You are radiating a lack of threat. As her threat detection systems deactivate, her body moves into a parasympathetic state, the only neurological zone where openness, emotional curiosity, and physical arousal are actually possible. By shifting your focus from being impressive to being biologically stabilizing, you stop being someone she is merely evaluating and become someone her body is physically relieved to be around. The transition from display language to discovery language is the moment a conversation shifts from a formal interview to a deep, visceral connection. Most high-achieving men rely on display language, mentioning their career wins, travel history, or expertise, because that's how they've earned respect in the professional world. However, neurologically, this backfires in a social setting. When you list your credentials, you force her brain into analysis mode, activating the dorsal attention network. This part of the brain is designed for critical evaluation and status checking, which is cognitively exhausting and emotionally cold. It places her in a position where she is judging you as a product rather than experiencing you as a person, effectively killing the receptive, emotional state required for attraction. To break this cycle, you must pivot to discovery language, which prioritizes her internal experience over your external achievements. Instead of trying to be interesting, you become intensely interested. The most powerful way to execute this is by noticing micro shifts, those tiny, involuntary changes in her expression or energy that most people miss. When you feel a spark of connection, resist the urge to lean in or tell a story to keep the momentum. Instead, slow down and verbally acknowledge what you just observed, using a phrase like, "I just noticed the way your whole face changed when you said that. What was happening for you right then?" Does something profound. It signals that you are attuned to her at a level that goes deeper than surface level talk. This specific phrase structure triggers a safety signal in her nervous system. By asking about her inner world rather than her job or hobbies, you move her out of the analytical part of her brain and into a state of co-regulation. You will know this has landed when you see the signal. Her eye contact will linger for an extra 2 or 3 seconds, and you'll notice a visible softening in the tiny muscles around her eyes. This is the physiological transition from her feeling studied or evaluated to feeling truly seen. In that moment, you aren't just another man competing for her attention. You are a rare source of presence that her nervous system wants to stay close to. Understanding how to remove the brakes is perhaps the most overlooked secret in modern dating, and it's rooted in a biological framework called the dual control model. Imagine attraction as a car. Most men spend all their energy slamming on the accelerator, trying to be more exciting, more charming, or more impressive. However, women's nervous systems also have a powerful brake system known as sexual inhibition. This system is highly sensitive and is designed to detect any hint of pressure, rush, or hidden agenda. If she feels even a low-level sense that you are pushing for an outcome, whether that's a phone number, a kiss, or a second date, her brakes will lock up. No matter how much gas you provide with your charm, the car won't move because her brain is prioritizing self-protection over connection. To her, arousal isn't just the presence of excitement. It is fundamentally the absence of threat. To navigate this, you must master the art of pacing recalibration. This means that the moment the energy starts to feel high stakes or fast, you must be the one to manually downshift the interaction. When a man takes the lead in slowing things down, it signals to a woman that he is safe and emotionally regulated. By using a phrase like, "I'm in no rush here, I just want to be exactly where we are right now," you are essentially whispering to her nervous system that there is no trap and no agenda she needs to defend against. This statement acts as a direct override to her inhibition system. It effectively pulls her foot off the brake, allowing her natural interest and excitement to finally come online without her feeling the need to stay on guard. The transformation that follows is purely physiological and impossible to fake. When the brakes release, you will see a clear calibration signal. The most reliable indicator is her shoulder drop, a tiny, involuntary release of muscular tension that she likely didn't even know she was holding. You will also notice her breathing shift from her upper chest down into her belly, becoming slower and more rhythmic. These are the green lights of the parasympathetic nervous system. At this point, she has stopped managing the conversation, thinking about what to say next or how to stay safe, and has actually started feeling the connection. You've moved from being a person she has to navigate to a person she can finally experience. The final stage of creating a magnetic presence is mastering unmet directness, a technique that shifts the dynamic from seeking approval to providing a rare form of emotional clarity. Most men treat attraction like a transaction. They give a compliment and immediately look for a thank you, a smile, or a sign that she feels the same way. This creates a subtle form of performance pressure that can cause a woman to pull back. True confidence, however, is the ability to state a profound truth about her without needing her to validate it or even respond. By making a bold observation and then letting it sit in the air between you, you activate her dopaminergic reward circuits, the same brain systems involved in deep anticipation and desire. Because you aren't asking for anything in return, she is free to simply experience the weight and sincerity of your words, which often creates an intimacy more powerful than physical touch. The execution of this technique requires you to be comfortable with silence. You are moving from creating attraction to simply revealing that it is already there. When you use a high-impact phrase like, "There's something about the way you move through the world that I find completely compelling," and I don't think you hear that enough, you must immediately stop talking. Resist the urge to explain what you mean, provide examples, or break the tension with a joke. This silence is where the magic happens. It forces her to process the observation and look at herself through the lens you've just provided. You aren't trying to get her. You are seeing her in a way that most people aren't observant enough to manage. This lack of an ask is what makes the statement so disarming and psychologically potent. The signal that this has landed usually appears after about 10 to 15 seconds of silence. You are looking for a shift in the quality of her attention, a softening of her features, or an involuntary, genuine smile that reaches her eyes. If she breaks eye contact and then returns to you with a more open, curious gaze, her nervous system has accepted the intimacy. However, if she deflects with a joke or quickly changes the subject, it isn't a failure. It's a biological indicator that her safety system needs more time before she can handle that level of directness. In either case, by staying grounded and not rushing to fill the silence, you prove that you are a man who is comfortable with the depth of his own interest, a trait that is universally magnetic. To transform these neurological principles into real-world results, you need a structured 40-minute action plan that moves her nervous system from high alert to deep connection. Most men fail because they rush the process, triggering her brakes before they've even established a foundation. Your goal for the first 10 minutes is to be a presence rather than a performer. During this opening phase, commit entirely to listening and asking discovery questions. Instead of the typical interview questions about her job or where she grew up, ask about her perspective. Things like, What's the most unexpected thing you've noticed about this place tonight? This shifts her brain away from social scripts and into her internal experience. By focusing on how she thinks rather than what she does, you are already signaling that you are more interested in her essence than her resume. Once the conversation has a natural flow, usually around the 15-minute mark, move to the observation. This is where you use phrase 1, I just noticed the way your whole face changed. This isn't a compliment, it's an act of attunement. You are proving that you are paying attention to her emotional shifts in real time. After you say it, don't rush to fill the gap. Wait for the calibration signal. If her eye contact lingers for those extra few seconds and the muscles around her eyes soften, you have successfully moved her into a state of feeling seen. This biological shift is the green light that tells you her nervous system is beginning to co-regulate with yours. As you reach the 20 to 30-minute mark, the interaction will naturally start to feel more weighted or intense. This is the critical moment to execute the pacing shift using phrase 2, I'm in no rush here. By explicitly stating that you have no agenda, you manually deactivate her sexual inhibition system. You are looking for the shoulder drop, a visible release of physical tension that signals she has stopped managing the interaction and has started experiencing it. Finally, if the connection feels mutual and grounded, move to the reveal in the final 10 minutes. Use phrase 3. There's something about the way you move through the world. Hold eye contact and let the silence do the heavy lifting. By the end of this 40-minute sequence, you have prioritized her felt safety over your own desired outcome. This shifts the entire dynamic. You are no longer a man she is deciding about. You have become a safe, magnetic harbor she is naturally drawn toward.